just said.
Yeah. Hello. Welcome to the video. This is our 1,000 subscriber Q&A. But as of right now, it's 2,000 subscribers. And 1 week from now, when it goes online...
Who knows? But yeah, the lens is not ideal for this project. But the big 24mm lens, unfortunately, decided to become unreliable. So we might be out of focus, but you're obviously here for our voices.
We're going into the ASMR industry.
Okay.
Disgusting.
I'm sure we haven't introduced ourselves.
Okay. I'm Zach. I'm 28.
And I'm Jackie, and I'm 27. And together we own this little farm in Portugal.
That's it. And together we are...
I can't do that, no. And together we own this little place in Portugal and are building our life here. And this is our Q&A.
So I have a list of questions, some curiosities about us, so we're here to answer them now. So the first question is, how did you meet? What's your story?
That's a long question, a long answer. That's a short question.
It's a very short question. It's a short question.
Short question with a long answer. So we met in 2014 in Iceland when we both lived and worked there for a while. But at the time we were traveling on our separate journeys of soul searching. I was on a gap year.
I was on a gap life.
Mine turned into a gap life later on.
It did end though.
What?
It did end though.
Oh yeah, so yeah, the gap lives eventually ended. But yeah, so we met. We were both really young. I was 18, you were 19. And yeah, we were friends for about 3 years, kind of meeting up every once in a while, traveling together. And then in 2016, 2017, on a hitchhiking trip to Morocco, we fell in love. And we've been together ever since. And yeah, eventually we kind of had to decide if we want to keep on traveling or if we want to have a more sustainable life. We decided to, buy some land and settle down, and we had to graft 4 years in Germany to afford that dream. Still kind of a bit low budget at this point, but yeah. So we were in Germany for 4 years, getting married, having a kid, not settling down, at least not in Germany, and then came out here. And I think that's it. That's our story. That's our life story.
That's our story in a nutshell. Or kurz gesagt, as the Germans would say. So the next question is, how did you find your land? That's a really easy question to answer. We found it on a website called Pure Portugal, and it's just full of listings all over Portugal, all different price ranges. If you want to find land here, that's a good place to start looking. Yeah.
But if you're looking for a place to buy, I can also recommend checking like local pages, kind of like Remax or Idealista, I think it's called. And if you are very skilled in Portuguese and you know which area you want to settle in, you could just go to a local cafe and ask which plots are for sale, and then you will get a tour of various places by people who want to sell to you. But that's only for people who really know their stuff, I think.
Yeah.
Otherwise, trust a real estate agent, get a really good lawyer. And
professional Portugalers.
Yeah. That's how we found our land. So yeah, we fell in love at first sight. We didn't really look at any other plots, to be honest. And yeah, now we're here. Like we bought it in 2019, so the price is like doesn't even matter to you because it's completely like not up to date. And now in 2022, we moved here.
How's your Portuguese coming along? Estudo português durante uma hora todas as semanas. My Portuguese is advancing faster than it has since we got here. I study an hour every morning, and I'm just hoovering up vocabulary, and it's working really well. I can do basic communications now. I'm not at conversational level, but definitely on track to get there. You can give your answer.
And I was blessed by 5
Yeah.
years of French classes, and they're really good bases, turns out, for Portuguese. Eu falo pouquinho de português. That's how I roll here. I just take French and Spanish words and just pull them together. But I am gonna do some more formal studying quite soon when I have the headspace for it. I can get by.
The next question is, how do you both speak such good English?
I learned it in school.
You
No.
didn't learn this in school.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't. I had English lessons in school in Germany for a long time, but then when I was around 14, I got really into English books, and I'm self-taught.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, and I watched a lot of David Attenborough documentaries, and then I lived in New Zealand for a while, and the last 7 years of my life, I've basically spoken English every single day. So, oh, and I studied English at university in the end. I have a BA in English. Linguistics.
Jackie is clearly a more qualified speaker than me,
Yeah.
but she never got as good as me. And the simple reason is English is my native language. Yeah. I was born and raised in the UK. I left a long time ago when I was still a teenager. So I've been speaking English that whole time, but with non-native speakers. And I learned a few other languages in the meantime. A bit of Icelandic when I used to live there, and then of course German when we were living there, and now Portuguese as well. But English is clearly like the language in my head. It's the one I speak every day. But I think I've lost my accent a bit. Yeah, the next question is, what do you do for a living? I'm taking a bit of a break from being the breadwinner, and I've given that responsibility to Jackie, and I look after the baby and do the dishes in the meantime.
You don't do the dishes. You do them 2 days a week.
I do the dishes 2 days a week. And occasionally cook. And yeah, just let Jackie do all the work, basically. No, it's not entirely true. But yeah, I'm building up my leatherworking skills, and I want to make like a small business in the future. Still building up stock right now, as I said, focusing on the language, so not really building much stock. But that's my thing. I don't make a living anymore.
And I'm currently a translator, English to German, for Korean webcomics. So if you've read German webcomics, translate it from Korean webcomics. I do that. And otherwise, we do have some savings from our time in Germany. So because my work isn't exactly like, it doesn't pay the same each month. It depends on how much I work. So sometimes we live off 300 euros and sometimes we live off 1,400 euros. So it's good to have savings in this case. But I think in the future I might do some English teaching.
Courses.
Yeah, we want to have income from different sources and don't just rely on, and not just rely on one single thing.
The new thing that's kind of still in development, definitely not a source of income right now, but this YouTube channel is growing quite steadily. So we think that in the future we might be able to get a portion of our income from this channel. We just recently got monetized, and we will see how many cents we get per 1,000 views from that. But yeah, so we already focus a lot of energy on making this channel. If we were working full-time jobs, that wouldn't be a possibility, and we wouldn't be able to run the farm as well. So yeah, you got to spend money to make money, and yeah, we're spending. Okay. Next question. How much tax do you pay on your land?
Oh man.
So the answer is 38 euros. That's municipal tax. That's what we pay on the land. That's not income tax or anything. That's subjective. But last year was 38 euros. It's tying in with the next question, which is how big is your land? That is another good question, but there's no simple answer to it. On paper, it's 2 hectares, and that might be exactly what it is, but we need to measure it ourselves to really know for sure. I've used a GPS, taken measurements of certain parts of the land, but I haven't found the time to walk around the entire perimeter and measure it. And some corners of the land, we still need to define the boundaries.
Okay, the next question would be, can you make a living from your land? No, we can't.
Some people could.
Some people probably could. We kind of have the idea in the future of doing like a small CSA with like local neighbors here, but that's like 2 or 3 years away. For now, the goal is to kind of be able to feed ourselves and our animals. But yeah, we have a bunch of eucalyptus plantation land. We could sell some of that. We can also sell our cork, but that is not enough to live on. Our income will always be from somewhere else but the land, most likely.
Yep. Before we moved here, we had big dreams, like to have a market garden and be like feeding the community. Maybe we could get there one day.
It's realistic. Still,
It's definitely realistic, but a few things changed before we got here and when we got here, and basically we don't have the time to build the infrastructure for that. Like we would need a dedicated food processing facility just to organize all the food. And our house is a half ruin, and we were able to cobble together this tiny house in the spring, but there was no time to build like another structure where we can process food. So for now, the idea of making a living off the land is completely out of the question. But ideally, we'd get there eventually. Where do you live?
This reminds me of these tiny hands, like these tiny baby hands that you can get. Like, imagine like a tiny hand holding the tiny
SD
mic.
card.
Anyways, a commonly asked question, where do we live? I can say that we live in the Leiria district, in mountains, and it's very nice.
It's a very big district. It goes all the way from the coast all the way into the interior, and we're obviously in the interior. Yeah, we're like central Portugal. Coordinates, zeros in them. Don't put that in. But don't get aggressive about people who want us to get goats.
No.
Next question. Do you plan on getting other animals? Well, yes, in short, definitely. We would like to get rabbits, chickens again, and another pig, because sadly, for us, this was just yesterday, but for you, it's a week ago. One of our pigs died, so the other is on her own now. So we want to get her a new friend, and that's going to take a bit of planning and introducing and all that. But yeah, in the long run, probably goats, likely sheep, both, not sure about that. But yeah, rabbits, chickens, pigs, goats or sheep. That's kind of what we're thinking.
With these animals, it's easy to kind of forget that animals rack up huge amounts of costs in vet bills, like vaccinations, just checkups, cost a lot of money, feed costs a lot of money. So before we get any new animals, we, for our chickens, for example, want to really improve the coop again, so we don't lose them again to predators. And with the pigs, we're actually kind of happy with the setup. But I do actually want to go to the local supermarket and ask what they do with their spoiled foods, because we could feed them to the pigs and thus get like more free food to feed them with, because they do take quite a bit of feed. So yeah, like getting animals for us will be a financial question in the future, really. How can we support them? And yeah, would love to get some goats, but they also take a lot of work. As far as I have read, they're not like animals that you can just kind of leave to their own devices.
Wait for it in the comments.
You can't really leave them to their own devices. They require much more control than our pigs or our chickens do. So, and we don't have the time for that right now. But in the future, I can see us having the time for like a dairy goat. They're also amazing if you want to clean your land like we do, to protect yourself from fires. So yeah, definitely a thing that we're considering.
Next question is, I forgot. Are you residents now?
Good question. I'm a resident because I'm a European citizen. It's really easy for me to move here. We're married, so that...
Don't forget about our son.
Sorry, our son is also a resident because he's German, has a German passport.
Yeah. He's got an English name and a German passport.
So yeah, for us it was really easy. We can just go to the camera and just sign up for life here.
That's the council.
That's the municipal council. And we're married, so it should, in theory, be easy for Zach to also get his residency, but it has proven to be a bit rocky, the road to getting there.
Yeah, the Portuguese Immigration Department, CEF, I'm sure some of you will know about them. They're very slow, difficult to get in contact with, and since COVID, you can't just turn up and get a ticket and speak to them. You have to pre-book an appointment, and they release all these appointments at the same time, so you get 150,000 people trying to call. So for me, it was a full-time job, unpaid, to try and call them for over a week. I didn't get through. Calling every day, all day, every day, for hours and hours on end, just pressing redial for about 7 days.
Some pent-up frustrations.
And they, no answer. And then they gave up all the appointments. So after that, I just kept on trying to get through. Eventually, I did get through, and there were 2 cancellations that day. And keep in mind, there's still like 90,000 people trying to get one of these appointments, and there were 2 when I called up. One of them disappeared as I was trying to book it, but I was able to snatch the other one. In total, I have to wait 8 months to speak to them in person, which is bizarre. Yeah. But that
we will find out if
yeah.
we can stay here.
Yeah, and then we'll see if I can become a resident or not. But I'm on the books. It's an ongoing process.
Hope they don't turn us away for some reason. That would be terrible.
Yeah.
But it should work out.
Then, if that would happen, then I would be asking myself the question, what made us choose Portugal? Which is the last question.
We made this whole video about how we cycled to Spain and stayed on a workaway place there. Actually, we stayed in 2 places, and they really inspired us to choose this lifestyle. And in the beginning, we searched for places in Catalonia because we really like this area. But we also, while living there, we realized that rainfall is a real issue there. The place where we lived in Tarragona, or like close to Tarragona, they got rain like once a year. And if those rains don't come, you are
In trouble.
and then we just looked a bit further west and realized that like Portugal, while it has problems with drought, it has much more reliable rainfall. Before we bought here, we've never been to the country. I hadn't really thought about Portugal, to be honest. But yeah, we discovered that the land there is cheap as well. And when we traveled here, we really like fell in love with the place as well. And yeah, it's a nice place to live in, really.
Yeah, that sums it up. Yeah. So thank you for watching the video, and if you want to know more about us, like the videos that we post on this channel, they're kind of in some ways a bit abstract and not really going into as much detail as we could maybe, but that's kind of the style of the video that we settled on. But if you want to know the details, we have a newsletter that gets sent out every single week on Thursdays, and you can just sign up for that. It's oakandolive.substack.com. Leave a link in the description as well. And yeah, in that you will hear about everything that happens in the week that it happens. And these videos, they often come out with several weeks delay. You know, we gather footage, plan it out, and then Jackie edits it. So yeah, if you want to know more, the newsletter has lots of useful or interesting information about all sorts of stuff.
And I want to say obrigada a todos os portugueses que veem nossos vídeos. E obrigada por partilharem vossa história e conhecimentos nos comentários. Have a nice day, and see you next week. You said bye.
I did. I said
bye.
it.
Bye.